You may have noticed that it's a bit of a tough sled out there right now in sales. The inbound business that may or may not have been coming your way has definitely slowed. From an outbound standpoint, fewer people are picking up the phone than ever before, and you know their inboxes are full and only getting fuller because of messages sent by idiots who don't know how to use AI. And oh, by the way, that's only going to get worse. And I'm sorry to call names. I know idiot's a really harsh word, right? But that is exactly what's going on here. The amount of noise in everybody's inboxes, whether it's social media, email, even regular mail, is only going to get worse. So you need to be much more incisive, be much more clear with your messaging. Oh, and to top it all off, we have a couple of wars raging over on the other side of the world from where I live, and even domestically, we've got political unrest and turmoil. Oh, it's not even an election year yet. Just wait a couple months for that. So, look, what do we have to do to cut through all this? Well, you have to go back to basics. You have to go back to square one. And there are a couple big things you need to get extraordinarily clear on. You need to know who you are, how you solve problems, and how that method of solving those problems is differentiated and beneficial. And you also need to know who those problems, or who the people are who have those problems. And then you need to put yourself in front of them. That's going to mean really good marketing. It's going to mean really consistent, persistent outbound. It's going to mean multi-channel. It's going to mean trade shows because people are doing things in person again. It's going to mean all the things that you can think of to creatively earn the conversations that you need to have with the people you need to have them with. So you're going to need to step back. You're going to need to flex some muscles that you may not have flexed in a while. Kind of like this camera over here. I kind of like the black and white feel, kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit. People tell me they kind of like it, so I should use it a little more often than I have. But let me look at you while you're right here. You're going to need to step back to basics because you're in a rut. You're in a rut because you've been doing things the same way for a long time, and they used to work, but now you have to switch things up a little bit. And that means you need to go back to square one and remember why you're doing what you're doing. And then you need to remember how you help people. And you need to be very, very specific about it. My friend Todd Capone, you've probably heard him talk about when times get tough, when things get tighter, you need to have extreme firmographic focus. That's his word. That means you tighten up your message for a tighter target market. That means being positioned vertically instead of horizontally. It means being willing to dive in and spend a lot of your energy building expertise and demonstrating that expertise within those verticals. That means you can pick up on the jargon. That means you have an intimate familiarity with the kinds of issues those kinds of companies are searching for, or you have experience with the kinds of issues that those companies are solving for. They're not searching for them, they have been found. So what you need to be more comfortable with is speaking that language. And you also need to be more comfortable having a distinct point of view. You don't have to go tell people that what they're doing is wrong, but you have to be very confident about sharing your expertise and getting the message across that you have insights and a point of view that will help them make their decision. Now, you've heard me talk about this before, that problem-centric conversations lead to solutions-oriented conversations, which lead to sales conversations. For too long, you've been diving right into sales conversations because you think people are ready to buy, because all the marketers who told you that inbound was the next thing were convincing you that everything was just going to come to you. And when that didn't happen right away, you kind of went back to your base level sales training about solutions, and you went to market talking all about how your solution would solve this problem. And hopefully if your marketing was good enough, they would recognize that they had a problem for your solution, and voila, a match made in heaven. Well, now people are more distracted. People are tighter with their cash. People are more skeptical of salespeople than they ever have been. So what do? We talk about solving problems. We talk about the expertise that we have. We talk about the insights that will help them with their decision-making process on which problems to solve, and then maybe how to devise a plan to solve them. And If that meeting goes well, then we might have a solutions-oriented conversation. And if that conversation goes well, then we might have a sales conversation. That's what I mean by stepping back. Not only do you need to get clearer on what you do and who you do it for, so you can be hyper specific with your point of view and reach these people, but you also need to be willing to start a little bit further back in the buying process, and you need to establish some credibility and some relevance. But what you have to do at that point is trust that your credibility and your relevance will lead you, will earn you a conversation to talk about potential solutions. And with the additional credibility that you earn, that they will learn that you might be someone worth doing business with, and then you can have a sales conversation. Is this fast enough for you? Probably not. Do you have I can't even think of the word right now. Do you have some unrealistic, there it is, expectations around how quickly you can turn this ship around? You might. Or you might recognize that the right way to do it has always been the way to do it, and that if you miss a quarter now so that you can hit every quarter for the next 10 years, then that might be a worthwhile exchange. But I'm telling you right now, I'm working with clients who do great work and can articulate this stuff, and even then, they need to step back. And I spent 8 hours this week with a client working on just this, and we're not done yet. Because there's so many things you need to get a handle on, and there are so many things you need to do right in order to get the attention of your prospects these days. The situation with the noise surrounding your prospects is not going to get any better anytime soon. The time for you, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, it's time for you to get going. And it's time for you to start by looking in the mirror, to start recognizing, getting a very clear handle on what you do, who you do it for, why it's different, why it's valuable, why it matters, why they would buy from you, why they wouldn't buy from you, and put all that stuff together into messaging that you can go to market with. And then when you have that messaging and you take it to market, you have to be persistent, you have to be consistent, you have to reach out more often than you're probably comfortable, and you have to reach out for longer than you're probably comfortable. Because you've got to not only separate yourself from everybody else, but you have to rise above that noise, not just cut through it. None of this is going to be easy, but this is the work that needs to be done. My question to you is, are you up for the challenge? If you need a little help, you know how to get a hold of me. Happy to discuss how you can go about having some success, how you can go about approaching this problem. Maybe I can share a couple of solutions for you, and maybe there's a way that we can work together in the future. But more important than anything, you need to get a handle on how you can succeed before you go to market and try to put anything into action. We've got, as right now it's the end of October, we've got 3, maybe 4 weeks left in the busy season. There's still an opportunity to get people's attention and get deals moving and get a little bit of momentum before the holidays make them feel like they're going to come to a screeching halt. You've got this. Are you interested in doing the real work? Or are you just going to sit there and complain like most of your colleagues out there who would rather just blame it on anything but themselves? The work in front of you is clear. It needs to be done. If you're willing to do it, you're going to succeed. And I wish you the best.